Cassie Ventura testified against Sean Diddy Combs for the first time in court, and everything we thought that was true is even worse than what we believed. She survived some of the darkest moments anyone could ever imagine and proved that he is truly a monster.
That girl went through some tumultuous shit that she never thought that she would ever have to go through being in the music business.
Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner are holding on to their relationship as everyone is speculating on what's gonna happen next.
I'm worried for Kylie, but she is more in love with him than he is with her.
Ray J is opening up about some really traumatic moments from his childhood, but his mental instability makes it hard for anyone to take him seriously.
My babysitter me.
We listen and we don't judge.
Justin Baldoni has a questionable passage from his book that leaves Blake Lively supporters more than excited to call out his hypocrisy. Tory Lanez has been rushed to the hospital after he was attacked the same way he went after Megan Thee Stallion.
Like, it's so obvious he's doing it for the clout. Like, did anyone even see the stab wound? Did anyone even see the blood?
Let's get into it. Let's get into Cassie's testimony. Now, Cassie just walked into the courtroom and faced Diddy fully pregnant in her third trimester and completely vulnerable and ready to talk about what she had gone through. Let's kick off this week's episode by going through a play-by-play of what happened in the courtroom with Cassie. She described her relationship with Diddy as full of violent arguments that would usually result in some physical harming, dragging, and different things of that nature. She described a freak off as basically it entails hiring an SEX worker and then setting up this experience so that she could perform for Diddy. Essentially, they would go and pay someone to do things with Cassie so that Diddy could watch, and that's how they spent time together. Within the first year of their relationship, he proposed this idea of getting into these freak-offs and having these men come and do things to Cassie. She couldn't remember where the name freak-off came from, but it did in fact come from Diddy. She says, eventually it became a job for me. She knew it's something that he wanted her to do, so she had the contacts to set it up and to get a hotel room and do everything else to pretty much orchestrate this moment for him. And ultimately, it's all at her expense. Cassie said that some of their arguments would be violent and would result in some physical abuse. Like, he would smash her in the head, knock her over, drag her, kick her, stomp her in the head if she was down. Want to eat healthy without the hassle? Factor's got your back. Their meals are fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes. Perfect for those busy days. Their green chili chicken with cauliflower rice was to die for. Put yourself first and get started at factormeals.com/Sloan50off and use code Sloan50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That is code Sloan50off at factormeals.com/Sloan50off for 50% off plus free shipping. What if launching your business didn't feel so overwhelming? What if you had a partner to help with everything, from building a beautiful site to writing product descriptions and launching social campaigns? That's Shopify. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US and supports brands of all sizes, including mine. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling at shopify.com/Sloan. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Sloan. That's shopify.com/Sloan. She was asked how frequently did he get physical with her during their relationship, and she said, too frequently. She said she had knots on her forehead, busted lips, and bruises all over her body. Now, she met Diddy when she was very young, and she claims that the first time she did a freak off with him, she was 22 at the time. Her stomach churned. She didn't have a concept of how this would even go on. She said, I was confused, nervous, but also loved him very much and wanted to make him happy. Now, the freak offs became so frequent that it became part of Cassie's life too. She said, I felt a sense of responsibility. It was him sharing something like that with me. I was confused, nervous, but also loved him. I knew it was something I didn't want to be doing, especially as regularly as it became. But again, I was just in love and wanted him happy. Now, throughout Cassie's testimony, they were going back and forth within time periods of when she met him and when some of these freak-offs occurred. She claims she was introduced to Diddy at 19 years old when she signed a deal with Bad Boy Records. At that point, it felt like a career break. He was a larger-than-life musician, she was a fan of his music, and she was excited to go and be a part of his record label. Again, she was 19. She signed a 10-album deal, which is a very long time, and they released an album later that year in 2006. But it turns out of those 10 albums, that was the only album she ever released under Bad Boy Records. Cassie discussed when Diddy kissed her on her 21st birthday and how he taught her about oral intimacy. She says, I was confused. I was a new artist, that I didn't know the lay of the land and things like that. I wasn't used to an executive or anyone being that forward with me in a more than friends way, an intimate or romantic way. I remember running out and back to my hotel and telling someone about it. Cassie said she did not want to kiss Diddy on that day. There is a 17-year age gap between her and Diddy. But after the incident, Cassie said she went to see him a handful of times at the Trump Hotel in Manhattan, where they discussed her music career and started to develop a comfortable relationship with each other. During those meetings, he introduced the idea of getting intimate with each other and how to do it. She said, he made me feel crazy for not reciprocating, and at the time I did not understand that kind of relationship, and I was in a relationship with someone else. I was just so young and did not have the vocabulary for some of the things we talked about. I was trying to understand it and I was completely inexperienced. Cassie recalled the first time she got intimate with Diddy, and she was high on a boat in Miami. She said, I was drinking wine and I started to take drugs, a blue dolphin ecstasy pill. Diddy gave it to her. I'd never taken it before. I was just out of it laughing, and I didn't know until a bit later that she was on this high, euphoric ecstasy feeling. Cassie claims that after the Miami trip that she became one of Diddy's girlfriends and that he had many girlfriends. I knew that we were spending a lot of time together one-on-one, and she said, I felt like we were monogamous for a period of time, but that was never true. He had many different artists he was involved with. Cassie said once she started dating Diddy, she broke ties with her management company and her former boyfriend, and after the Miami trip, she was in love with him. I traveled with him everywhere. I was in studios and I was like his shadow for a while. She claims that she was enamored by him in the beginning and that she began to experience a different side of him, which was his harmful side. He was very controlling over her life and did things that she did not want him to do. But before Cassie became Diddy's full-time girlfriend, he was still in a relationship with Kim Porter, and Cassie knew that. She claims their relationship didn't go public for so long because he didn't want to look bad, and because that his children and everything were wrapped up with Kim Porter, it wouldn't be a great look that he's now with a much younger artist that he signed. Cassie claims that Diddy was essentially bipolar. He had crazy mood swings, and that if you were to look at him the wrong way, you made the wrong face, you would get hit, and he would tell you, watch your mouth. I don't know why, but I could see him being so insecure and someone maybe giving him a bad face and he just whacks them right in the mouth like that. I mean, she got those busted lips somehow and those bruises, and it turns out it wasn't just Diddy controlling her. It was also his security personnel or his assistants who were keeping guard and taking tabs on everything she did. She said Diddy had control over what I was doing every minute of the day, and that includes her career. Cassie claims that she recorded hundreds of songs, and while some of them got released, most of them didn't. She didn't release the 9 albums that they were supposed to for the record deal, which hurt her financially. She depended on him. Also, a 10-album record deal seems so scary because then you're tied down for essentially 10 years. So she didn't know what she was getting into. And there's no way she can get out of that situation, especially when she's struggling. I mean, she wasn't just his employee, but also his girlfriend, doing these things, especially these freak-offs that were so difficult and hard on her body that she claims that it became a job just doing the freak-offs because she would have to go and recover for 36, 48, 72 hours at a time. She recalls the longest freak-off continued for about 4 or more days with some breaks. Could you imagine being in a freak-off for like 4 days? I could barely go out to the club for like 3 hours without having a major headache. I can't imagine being on ecstasy, drinking, getting intimate, and doing that back to back to back. I mean, Diddy is crazy for even wanting this.
Do you believe everything she's saying about these freak-off sessions?
Listen, that girl went through some tumultuous that she never thought that she would ever have to go through being in the music business.
But it takes a bunch of people to go and coordinate something like this. Cassie actually brought up her manager at Bad Boy Records, James Cruz, at one point. She said his role in managing my career was that he was managing me with one hand tied behind his back, saying that Diddy essentially made every approval of anything that he wanted to do with Cassie's career, which he did not do much. Cassie says that she would have things taken away if she did things that Diddy didn't like. Quote, I would get my car taken away. I got kicked out of the house, my apartment. I had jewelry taken away. It was very random depending on how he felt. She also claims that he would take her personal electronics away from her, like her phone, and really treated her like a child. Actually, early on in her testimony, Cassie said that she actually keeps broken laptops, iPads, and iPhones, whatever electronics she still holds on to, because she doesn't know what kind of blackmail could be on there. Cassie was also asked about several assistants that worked for Diddy. Cassie testified that in the first 3 years of her relationship with Diddy, one of his assistants would regularly help Cassie with her finances. Cassie said that she spoke to another assistant on a daily basis about everything from scheduling to what kind of mood Diddy was in. Quote, she knew a lot about my personal things. The same prosecutor, Emily, asking her about these assistants, also asked her about what she enjoyed, if anything, about the freak-offs she had with Diddy. She claims that that was the time she spent with him, and she felt like it was the only time she could get with him. She said, quote, I felt disgusting. I was humiliated. I didn't have the words to put together at the time how horrible I really felt, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Cassie said at one point she tried telling Diddy she didn't want to do the freak-offs anymore. Quote, I didn't want to upset him or make him angry with me for even sharing it, but I would tread lightly when I brought it up. Sometimes I would email him about it. I didn't want anything bad to happen. Now, there have been several really disgusting points within this testimony, like when Diddy instructed Cassie to call him by her grandfather's nickname. So he wanted her to pretend that he was her grandfather. Quote, he asked me what I called my grandfather. I said, Pop Pop, Cassie said. I thought it was weird at the time, and now it just feels like it was disrespectful. He called her Cece, which she said stood for Cassie Combs. Cassie said that Diddy can be a scary person and get violent. She would regularly get a wax, tan, and her nails done. Her nails had to be painted white or with a French tip, per Diddy's instructions. She also would have to get piercings at Diddy's suggestion as well. Cassie said that she would wear see-through netted outfits and extremely high heels for him. Diddy would go and book these freak-offs at hotels under the names Frank White or Frank Black. Cassie would use the name Jackie Star. And of course, baby oil was brought up into the conversation because Diddy wanted them to be glistening, according to Cassie. Cassie claims that they would use about 10 bottles of baby oil per freak-off. One time there was a baby pool filled with baby oil, Cassie testified, which explains the 1,000 bottles that were seized from Diddy's home. Now, after these freak-offs, of course, the hotel rooms were trashed and there was broken things. I don't know why, like, who needs to have sex like this to where everything needs to be broken and trashed afterwards? Now, other than that, we just hear details about these freak-offs and how at some point Cassie was responsible for building the relationships with these men who would come over and participate. We're going to be talking a little bit more about these freak-offs in particular and what these men did with Cassie in our next segment, but I do want to briefly mention that TMZ has been putting out some really shady coverage today. I have been watching the news and going through it all, and every time I see a notification from TMZ, it's like a unreleased video footage that shows Cassie and Diddy having a good time before their breakup, and I don't know who is directing them to do this today, but they're the only outlet out here continually to post bad articles about Cassie, trying to discredit her. Spring is finally here, and I don't know about you, but I'm spending less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying the weather. That's where Factor comes in. These are chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are delivered fresh and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. No prep, no cleanup, just heat and enjoy. Factor makes it easy to stick to your goals without giving up great food. Whether you're looking for calorie smart, protein plus, keto, or just delicious, balanced meals, you've got 45 options every week to choose from. Plus, their breakfast and snacks are perfect when you're on the move. I just had their green chili chicken with cauliflower rice, and it was filling, flavorful, and fit right into my eating plan. I'm trying to look good this summer, and it's the perfect way to eat well without the hassle. Put yourself first and get started at factormeals.com/Sloan50off and use code Sloan50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That is code Sloan50off at factormeals.com/Sloan50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Starting your own thing? It could feel like you're wearing every hat: creative director, accountant, tech support, you name it. When I launched this show, the to-do list felt never ending. That's why I wish I had something like Shopify from the start. Shopify is the go-to commerce platform trusted by millions, powering everything from global brands like Gymshark to independent creators launching their very first store. You can design your own stuff by using their beautiful ready-to-go templates, and AI tools, they're a game changer. Shopify can help you write product descriptions, create emails, enhance images, you name it. It's like having your own built-in business partner, whether you're launching a merch store, maybe a content platform, or a product line. Shopify simplifies it all: inventory, shipping, returns, and more. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling at shopify.com/Sloan. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Sloan. That's shopify.com/Sloan. Let's get into Diddy's trial day 1. Now, we had a male worker come forward, and he actually testified that he was instructed to do things with Cassie, including peeing on her and into her mouth. Oh, I don't know if I can even say this on YouTube. With the Diddy trial underway, there are disturbing allegations coming out about him and Cassie. Diddy is accused of having watched and recorded these inappropriate acts with Cassie, who he dated for about 10 years. The incidents began when she was just, well, like she said, 22 years old. Not only did this male testify, but also Cassie testified that she felt like she was choking when she was doing things with this man, and he was peeing in her mouth. Ugh, I can't even think about it. I'm throwing up. Ew. Despite these disturbing allegations coming forward, we're seeing people arrive to the courthouse, including Diddy's family, so they're listening to it all.
Diddy's trial just started, and within minutes, his own daughters got up and walked out of the courtroom, and here's why. So it starts with testimony from Daniel Phillip, a former escort, who says Diddy paid him to be with Cassie while he watched from the corner. Yep, you heard that right. And as soon as the details got graphic, his daughters, all 18 and sitting next to his mother, got up and left the room. They came back, but the moment the testimony kept going, they dipped again. And that's just the beginning. Philip also told the jury that he heard Diddy beating Cassie in the other room during one of these setups and dragging her by the hair for saying the words, "Hold on."
These comments read, "They just wanted to see some proof for themselves and they heard enough. I feel terrible for them." Mama Mima commented, "This is sad. No mom and now no access to dad. I hope they can find some peace." Another comment reads, "The twins are just trying to hold in their tears. They're heartbroken. I pray that they can get professional help." Now, even though the trial is underway, they are continuing to submit for evidence to be heard in this trial. Diddy's currently trying to make sure his iCloud searches are not going to be brought to court. Even though he's been trying to get this major piece of evidence thrown away, the judge has ruled that no, all of these searches from Diddy's homes, his personal, his cell phone, his iClouds, everything will be available. His legal team is calling the government's attempts to go and try to get this information intentionally misleading and grossly distorted. So the judge denied Diddy's request to throw out the results of these searches, writing that the bad boy head had failed to show the government's applications were intentionally misleading, said their warrants were false, or I guess in bad faith. And what the prosecutors are hoping to do with this information is to prove that Diddy threatened people, not only Cassie, but other victims as well. Let's get into Timothy and Kylie. Now, this shady life coach says that Timmy Chalamet exists in Kylie Jenner's life to fill this space. This article writes that the PDA and the public appearances won't be enough for Kylie Jenner and Timothy to find their happy ending. Lately, the couple cannot seem to get enough of each other and have seemingly been on cloud 9 around each other. This includes their recent red carpet debut at the Donatello Awards. But this life coach, Tammy, says she believes that they appear to be going strong, but Timmy exists to fill a space or a void in Kylie's life, kind of like an employment, like he's filling a job role. They're predicting that Timothy is a crutch in Kylie's life, despite their red carpet debut last week. All Kylie wants is love, and that Kylie remains indifferent towards money and wants someone who would hold her, love her, and nurture her. In addition, the spiritual coach asserts that she is someone who deserves to have a soulmate. But she also believes Timmy is not the one for Kylie. When I see Timothy, I see him as a crutch, that he's only here to fill space for right now, which would be quite a shame.
Guys, I'm worried for Kylie. I love her and Timmy together. Took me a second to get on board. I'm fully on board, but she is more in love with him than he is with her. And I do hate to say that. I really do. But that is the kiss of death for a relationship. And I'm not saying he doesn't seem into her. He does. But I'm getting it more from her. And that is not what I want to see. I want to see my man head over fucking heels. Biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter, hanging all over her. Absolutely obsessed. I'm getting that from her. I'm not getting that from him. And that is not what I want to see.
There have been plenty of rumors that Kris Jenner has been pressuring Timmy to go and buy an engagement ring for Kylie, but I mean, he just brought her onto the red carpet for the first time after being together for so long and so public, so I think it's going to take some time. This comment reads, "My intuition can just not picture Timothy as a stepdad to Kylie's kids." I mean, I don't know what this life coach is saying, because recently we saw Kylie around with Timothy and also with Jordyn Woods. Triggered. We all know what happened with Jordyn Woods and Tristan Thompson. We don't even need to go there right now. Now, it seems like these two have made up, or they did quite some time ago, but they're not really with each other publicly. But recently we saw them together. It seems like they were all hanging out. Kendall was there as well, and of course Timothy. Oh, they're having a good time. Clearly, Timmy was having a good time. It's interesting, if you heard what Kylie and Jordyn were saying there, they did not know each other would be at the game. This comment reads, "Kendall will not be a faker." Another comment reads, "Tristan has been forgiven 5,011 times. Let it go. It was a brief party kiss with a man Chloe helped cheat on with his first baby mama with." Another person added that Kendall had a lot to say during their friendship breakup, just like Stassi, and I'm sure they felt awkward when Kylie refriended her in her own way. Because if you did not notice, in that video clip, Kendall is in the very background and she's sitting there very awkwardly, or standing there very awkwardly. Nate commented, "Love this for them, but Jordyn, let's not forget how that whole family did you in 2019. You can forgive, but never forget." I mean, Jordyn Woods was pretty much canceled. And let's not forget that they used her in a storyline. So she was used for their show for them to essentially profit off of the drama and the friendship and everything else. Let's get into Ray J. Now, Ray J is going through it right now. I don't even know how much I can tell you guys about this story, but he talked about a babysitter recently on stream that did incredibly inappropriate things with him when he was a child. He was around a bunch of random women. It really looks like a sad scene, especially for Ray J. And in this moment, he talks about like being essentially like harmed, like touched, R-worded as a little boy by a babysitter.
My babysitter raped me.
We listen and we don't judge.
It's not funny. But the way that you're just standing like that for a minute.
I needed time. She had some big titties.
I mean, the girls are all super uncomfortable. One of them was laughing, and it does seem like, is he telling us this? Is he joking about it? Is he doing a little bit of both to cope about it?
She made me suck him. It was real big too.
This comment reads, "I think it's the delivery that's making them laugh, because it just feels like he's being unserious. He's not funny, and this was actually annoying to watch." Another person said, "This is definitely a cry for help." While this person commented, "He's crashing out. I think he misses his wife, but first, go to therapy."
I was traumatized. She had me in a headlock. And so when she had me in the headlock from playing hide and go seek, her titty was on me. And I'm like, when I was younger, I'm like, wow, this is a big titty. And all of a sudden, I think I manifested it, and she just went like that, and her titty was in my mouth.
It's an uncomfortable scene. In an interview on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay last year, Ray J revealed that he had a girl who was 20 years his senior when he was 15 or 14. She was like 34, he said. What the older woman made him realize is that he was dirty and all he needed was to be clean. Now, despite Ray J coming forward with his own stories, he recently told Sneeko, a streamer, that he thinks that the Diddy charges are nonsense. He says Puffy about to get out too, on the dead homies. He said Puffy getting out, all that stuff they're trying to charge him for is nonsense. He did something bad that we all seen and it's unacceptable, but that's not what the charges are for. The charges are weak. You must admit that that is hard to hear, especially after hearing Cassie's testimony, because he's so wrong. I mean, these charges against him, they're serious, and there are so many victims who are speaking out today and in this coming week in this trial. So honestly, I think that Ray J is wrong when it comes to that one. It's my opinion. It's a bad take. Let's get into Justin Baldoni. Now, I was doing my own research on Reddit and I was just like going through and I found this post about Justin Baldoni's book. And I wanted to bring it up because I think there's some hypocrisy here. You know, I'm not going to sit here and like shame one person when there's two wrongs in a situation. And Justin Baldoni was wrong here. He spoke about a wedding in Nashville where his black friend Kay was the only black guest. The wedding was at a plantation, and as part of the celebration, guests were given bags of fresh cotton to toss in the air like confetti. For Kay, as a black woman, this was painful because cotton was a symbol of forced labor and they're on a plantation. When she expressed her discomfort, Justin and their friends dismissed her feelings and defended the couple who organized the wedding. Then Justin responded by saying, "I don't see color, I see your heart," which invalidated her experience. And for 6 years, Justin Baldoni did not apologize until George Floyd's murder and the rise of the BLM movement, in which he finally reached out to Kay. Let's go ahead and take a look at this book together. And just to give you guys some context, the book is titled Man Enough, and it does have 4.5 stars on Amazon. Much better than Hilaria Baldwin's book, which has like 2 stars. But this is a passage from the book where he said, "Later that night, when Kay shared her raw feelings and experience at the wedding and the pain around the cotton, instead of listening and empathizing and honoring her, as a group, we downplayed the whole situation, and doing so downplayed her feelings and really her humanity. We bypassed her pain and came to the defense of the couple, imploring her to know that they were good people and not trying to do anything, associated with race." That's when he goes on to say that he does not see color, which is what you don't want to lead with. He continued that not only him, but his wife as well, and our own confusion and privilege flipped the narrative centered on our own emotions, and in many ways turned our privilege into victimhood, feeling like we were the ones who were irrationally attacked and that she was blowing things out of proportion. So not only did they not acknowledge her feelings, but they flipped it and made themselves into victims and Kay the bad person. Now the comments are going off. This person writes, "Throwing cotton? Literally WTF." Another person asks, "Who even tosses cotton for their wedding? That seems very odd nod to the South." Not one person on that guest list, aside from the black person, clocked that this was weird practice. Another person added, "Let's not forget that Blake Lively had a wedding on a literal plantation." And then finally, he didn't see it her way at first, but after that he reflected on his actions, took the time and reached out to apologize after many years. He is still the villain in this story? No. I believe like all people, we can be prone to making mistakes. No one gets it right all the time. But that's really up to everyone else, and really actually Kay, to decide. While we're talking about Justin Baldoni, let's talk about the fact that Taylor Swift was subpoenaed in this lawsuit, which means yes, as long as the judge agrees, she will have to go to the trial and talk about her involvement with Justin Baldoni. A spokesperson for Taylor Swift emphasized that the singer has no close connection to the film other than her song being used, and that the subpoena is to create tabloid clickbait.
Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's friendship is probably on the verge of ending after the news that came out this week. Taylor was subpoenaed by Justin Baldoni's lawyer to speak in court about the lawsuit. A spokesman for Taylor Swift said this: "Taylor never set foot on set. She was not involved in any casting or creative decisions. She did not score the film. She never made any notes on the film. She did not even see It Ends With Us until weeks after its public release." Taylor really said, "I was not even in a rush to see this film. Leave me out of it." Taylor's camp also reportedly said they feel as though this is a ploy to get clickbait articles and more attention on this lawsuit, as her only contribution to the movie was letting her song be played.
Diana asked a great question. When it comes to this lawsuit, in the end, what does the winner actually win? The whole matter seems insane and desperate. Let's get into Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is going through it right now. He was shanked over a dozen times in jail, or prison rather, and both his lungs collapsed, which sounds horrible. I have like medical anxiety, so I will freak out. But let's talk about what Tory is going through. He was attacked at about 7:20 a.m. at the State Corrections Facility in California. Both of his lungs collapsed, and Tory was placed on a breathing apparatus, though he's now breathing on his own. Oh my gosh, that really freaks me out. God blessed. Tory's reps say that he's in pain but is talking normally and is in good spirits and deeply thankful to God for surviving. You guys know that Tory is a musical artist, but he's serving time for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the feet after Kylie Jenner's birthday or some party at her house in 2020. I don't know if it was a birthday. I think it was a birthday party, but he was convicted in 2022, and in 2023 he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. It is wild that he's only like 2 years into his sentence and he's already being almost unalived. But it's an unfortunate situation that all of this went down. And the fact that Megan was shot in the foot, I mean, that's incredibly painful. I'm glad she's able to still twerk it the way that she can.
Meg told the jurors that after she got shot, Tory offered her $1 million to keep quiet because he was on probation. There were also transcripts read in court of text messages Tory sent to Meg that night saying he was so sorry, he wished he could change what he did, he was drunk. But Tory is now claiming that his apology was taken out of context and he was in fact apologizing for the fact that he slept with one of Meg's friends and that made her jealous, which is a lot of gumption for a man who stands at 5'3", but I digress.
Now, stabbed or not, no one on the internet has sympathy for him. This comment reads that these celebrities are getting a rude awakening about normal life. Danny Masterson and others are receiving karma. One Love commented, just patch him up and send him back to another prison. Carry on. And then finally, this comment reads, odd, right before his album release. I mean, that would be a really insane way to go and try to get some press for your album, to go and get attacked while in prison. And it's also interesting that he's even putting out an album while he's behind bars, but you know, I don't even know. How do you do that? How do you even do that? Do you just record through a phone? Comment below. Does anyone know?
Like, it's so obvious he's doing it for the clout. Like, did anyone even see the stab wound? Did anyone even see the blood? Did anyone witness it? Like, where's the footage?
The fact that y'all are trying to blame Megan Thee Stallion for Tory Lanez getting poked in the slammer lets me know that y'all are every bit of delusional that I thought you were.
Man, I don't believe this shit, bro. Like, he lying, shorty lying. Like, how you get stabbed in prison, that's the safest fucking place on earth. It's all them guards around. Like, how you just get stabbed up in front of a guard? And I need to see the wounds. What are wounds? Show me the stab wounds. It don't make sense to me. Like, he want to be a victim so fucking bad.
Let's get into the Beckham family. Now, there's been a lot of dramas at the Beckhams. I've been deciding on whether I want to dive into it, and I decided yes. Families around the country celebrated Mother's Day, which shout out to all the mothers out there, happy belated, paying homage to special women in their lives. David Beckham was among those to post the Sunday celebration to his Instagram. Now, why this Mother's Day post is such a big deal is because Brooklyn, one of their sons, has been estranged from the family, and part of the reason is because the brothers have been double dipping, if you know what I mean.
Seems as though Brooklyn Beckham and his wife Nicola Peltz have been distancing themselves from not only his parents, but from the whole family. So allegedly it has everything to do with his brother's girlfriend. The brother I'm referring to is Romeo, and his girlfriend is Kim Turnbull. Romeo decided to take this relationship public in December of 2024 when he posted Kim all over his social media. In the weeks following, she started to hang out with his family. Brooklyn was already familiar with Kim. The rumor is these two were in a relationship back in 2016 or 2017, but her brother Cruz put that rumor to bed when he responded to a comment on Instagram saying that wasn't true. If it's not true that these two were an item in the past, what's the reason that these two have been avoiding the family? None of this is confirmed, but it's being alleged that Brooklyn thinks Kim is using his brother Romeo for fame.
So that is a messy situation to have the two brothers like interested in the same girl. Also, it would be really awkward for the woman, I feel like, to go and date a brother. Comment below if you guys know of a story of like when someone started to date someone else's brother and maybe it worked out. Now, recently, Brooklyn and his wife were absent from David's 50th birthday celebration. Part of the reason is because Romeo and his girlfriend Kim was there. Now, I think it's fascinating that we're starting to see these famous kids essentially grow up and start becoming their own people, and we're watching these dynamics unfold, and it's clear to see that there's something going on here. I mean, I think even when it comes to David and Victoria's marriage, there's some things that are questionable, but either way, when it comes to these brothers, there's definitely some tension, clearly.
I don't think, though, that this small falling out about Kim Turnbull could be a reason or valid motive for Brooklyn not to acknowledge his dad's birthday or turn up to any of his special events. That seems bizarre to me.
I think it is wildly out of character for Brooklyn not to do a carousel about his dad on his page. Like, he always does appreciation posts.
So it's interesting. Why is he feuding with his own father? Well, one outlet says that David verbally berates his son on the phone, and that they were upset that Victoria was sending text messages as if her husband didn't scream at Brooklyn for an hour. I don't know what he's screaming to him about. TMZ also noted that Brooklyn and his wife made themselves available for months and months to discuss all the ongoing drama, but David and Victoria don't engage with them because it looks like his wife, Brooklyn's wife, always talks back to them and stands up for Brooklyn, which causes even more of a fight because she's feisty and she's ready to fight back. It looks like Kim, Romeo's girlfriend, has David and Victoria's approval, so she's kind of winning in this situation, but Brooklyn, not so much. He feels protective over his younger brother, and I guess he has dealt with Kim before, so he knows what Romeo's getting into. So I think Brooklyn probably is trying to help his brother avoid a red flag, but you know, maybe she's grown up. Maybe Kim's a different person now. Let's get into Ariel Winter. Now, you guys have probably heard of Ariel Winter from Modern Family, and she's opening up a little bit more about the trauma she had gone through. Actually, shout out to Ariel. We grew up in the same town. We're both born in Fairfax. I would see her at Panera growing up, which is so wild to think about. She claims that the body shaming in the industry really made her want to get out of Los Angeles. Every headline she read about herself was about her body and how she looked terrible or pregnant, or she says like a fat slut. Wow. And she was only 14 years old. I wonder if we can look up some of these articles and call some of these people out. Like, who are those weirdos? She says that part of the reason why I've always hated LA is because I've been followed by paparazzi for a long portion of my life, and I really dislike having my space invaded. So she was like, I'm gonna get the hell out of LA. And honestly, I feel like people like Justin Bieber could learn a lesson from Ariel Winter, because it seems like she's at peace.
The criticism that I feel like you get.
People love to hate.
People love to hate.
I feel like I've definitely gotten the brunt out of everyone on the show.
Yeah.
For sure, of the criticism, and I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I was just like, how do you deal with the quote unquote haters?
I mean, it sucks in general. It's like, as I got older, I developed a lot faster when I was younger, and it was like people wanted to hate on that, and I was like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that, so fine. What do you want me to do? Wear a bag? Yeah, I'll feel like crap.
My body.
Thanks. It's like people hate on that, and then as I got older, it was like I had a different kind of body. I was a curvy girl, and it was like anything you'd wear, it was like, oh my god, a high school. What a horrible role model for our children, or whatever, or she looks fat. Like, as you get older, you go through so many different phases with your body, and it's like really, it's hard to do in general without people commenting on it. And then you have 3,000 comments on a photo you post that you feel like you looked good in, and that you were like having a good day, and you're like, cool, I'm like happy to post this. And then all of the comments are not all, but the majority of the comments, and even though there are lovely comments, and it sucks, but like the ones that stick out the majority in your mind are these horrible comments.
So on top of getting the negative attention from the press, Ariel also had issues with her mom at home. Her mom's name is Crisola, which I've never heard of that name before. Call me Crisola. Quite a name. Kind of reminds me of Ursula, but add Chris to it. We've covered her relationship with her mother before. She's accused her of harming her when she was a child. She claims she was removed from her home by the Department of Child and Family Protective Services during a stint on Modern Family, and she emancipated herself at 17, 3 years after being placed in the care of her older sister, Chanel. So she clearly had problems at home, and if CPS stepped in, then I think it shows the mother's guilt.
She's just lying. She wants the headlines. I think she craves attention. And if it means throwing your mother under the bus and hurting her and breaking her heart, she's going to do it.
I actually cannot stand Crisola. I think she's a terrible mother. I mean, clearly Ariel has it together. She's out here working, building a career for herself ever since she was young. So I don't know what Crisola's problem is. I think she's got insane jealousy over her daughter. But Ariel claims that she didn't leave the industry. She just left the city of LA, that she's still trying to work. After moving out of the city, she started doing some TikToks though, where she's been doing a cooking series and produced a few small projects. So even though she's out of LA, she's still trying to keep relevant, but it's pretty hard to do when you're not here. But she's also told People magazine about her work with an organization called Safe from Online XCX Harm, which lures predators into meetings with local law enforcement. What Ariel does is that she acts like a child to try to lure a predator into, I guess, the same facility as police so that they can go and capture them, which kind of reminds me of like Catching a Predator, like those kind of shows back in the day, like Chris Hansen. And it's wild that Ariel is up to this nowadays. Quite a story. Let's take a look at her acting and what's really happening with these creeps.
You're not gonna like block me again now, right?
Oh, baby. You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to let you go?
Well, I mean, I like talking to you.
I'm gonna get off here and get cleaned up.
It was so creepy. The guy's voice, too.
I'll talk to you later, beautiful.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Going back to when you were 12 years old, could you imagine seeing that, and how would that have affected you?
Oh God, those kind of questions too. Like I wouldn't. It makes you like question like being a parent someday. Like I'm gonna be so protective.
I definitely did see that as a 12-year-old girl, and it's definitely affected my life.
His circle of victims, that's a big circle. Who's he talking to tomorrow? Who's he talking to the next day? How long is it going to take to ID him and make an arrest, which is what we need to do. We need to ID him.
Now that is some amazing work that Ariel's doing. I wish I saw more of that in the world. Let's get into Chris Pratt. Now, like I said, we just had Mother's Day, and Chris Pratt did a tribute to Katherine Schwarzenegger, and it left people very divided. We talked about him actually on my main channel, Sloan, and we did a video about his relationship with Anna Faris, and he's got a weird way of expressing his love to the women he shares children with. Chris and Katherine have 3 young kids together, and he also shares a 12-year-old son, Jack, with his ex-wife Hannah Faris. He shared a series of photos of Katherine and their kids on Instagram, writing, "How do moms do it? Seriously, it's like running a circus, a hospital, a 5-star kitchen all at once. Our kids hit the jackpot with you, and so did I." He later reshared the post to his story and wrote again, "Happy Mother's Day." Before long, a lot of people questioned why he hadn't wished Anna, the mother of his first child, a happy Mother's Day, something that has sparked backlash in the past. Back in 2023, his Mother's Day tribute went viral as tons of people called him out for excluding Anna from the post. Chris specifically even gave Katherine a shout out for being the best stepmama to Jack. Some people asked, where's the tribute to the mother of your first child? You should praise Anna too. I mean, if they had a really bad breakup, maybe it would be a little bit awkward to post about her every year. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take. Another person writes, "Wow, again, to crap all over Anna Faris for no reason. And where's the photo with the mother of your first child?" I mean, I would say at least acknowledge your son. Now, some people defended him and questioned, like, why does he need to post his ex-wife? They both moved on. She's moved on as well. It doesn't need to be reminded of every year. I could see why some people are upset, and then at the same time, and I can understand maybe if they aren't on good terms, it would be kind of an awkward thing to do. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Let's Get Into It podcast. Thank you so much for listening, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Please comment below and let me know. Maybe do like a blue heart or something. And also, if you do have a moment, go to Spotify and Apple Music and rate our show. It really helps. And I'll see you guys in a new episode soon. Bye, guys.